Hi, this is Jason with Yeldell Scientific. We provide custom software and custom apps for various industries. And today we're continuing our showcase of custom apps that have been optimized for use on the Windows Surface Pro series of laptops. And the next app that we want to showcase is another productivity app that is actually pretty fun. It's for those hobbyists out there that like to keep track of all of the data and all of the details in regards to their fish tank or saltwater aquarium. I'm one of those people, and I use this app quite a bit. But basically what it does is turn your Surface Pro into a fully functional data entry and tracking tool in order to log, monitor, and trend various aspects of data for your marine aquarium, your saltwater aquarium, or even your freshwater aquarium. Those who are hobbyists in the industry know that it's a must that you have to keep track of every little detail, the pH, the alkalinity, salinity, all of those types of things. You also want to log the data on each new fish, each new invertebrate you add to the system. You want to be able to jot down notes very quickly and reminders for yourself. This app allows you to do all of that through a beautiful interface that loads up and is very, very user-friendly on the Windows Surface Pro. And this app is available for download off of YeldellScientific.com. You can see right here, it's available for download. And if I was to load that up, let's see what it looks like. This is the dashboard, the home screen that you're presented with as soon as you load this application. You have touchscreen icons that work very well on the Windows Surface Pro, but you can actually use any Windows laptop or PC. It's just that it's optimized for use on the Windows Surface Pro series of laptops. So if I want to add details in regards to my particular tank, I can just tap on my tank, and it will bring me to the screen where I can add information regarding to my tank. I currently have some additional, I already have some pre-set up information in regards to my tank on when it started, my email address, so I can get automatic reminders and things like that, what kind of lighting, what kind of rock I have in the tank, etc., etc. But let's just say I want to add a new fish to my tank. I just went to the store and I bought a clownfish, like Finding Nemo. So I would come here to the plus icon for fish, and let's add a new fish to this tank. So let's say that I purchased a clownfish, and I purchased one of them, and here's where I can add an image that I want to store associated with that new item, that new fish that I bought. So let's just grab an image off of a website. Let's see, here an example of a clownfish. So I can just grab this image, right click on it, and copy image address, and then go back to my tank tracker application and just paste in the URL. And that's going to be the image that I'm going to store within my installation of this particular application. Let's say that this fish cost me $40, and I can say that it's an herbivore, right? Or anything else, any kind of notes that I want to add about this fish. Let's assume that I bought it yesterday, and let's click save. So now I just added another fish to the application. It will show up on my tank's timeline, which is a running history of all of the things that have ever happened to my tank, and I can also view it in the gallery of any images associated with my tank. So if I just quickly want to see an image of it, I could select clownfish and then click the view button, and it will show me my clownfish. It's an herbivore, and here's the image link that's associated with it. Let me back out of here and go back to the home screen. So here I am again. I have 3 fish. I don't have any invertebrates, corals, macroalgae. I can add all that stuff later. But more importantly, if I want to log details and data about this tank, I can go to water chemistry, and let's just add some water chemistry details about this tank. Let's say that as of today, I recorded my chemistry readings. I'm going to click the calendar. I'm going to select today's date. I'm doing this with my finger since it is tappable, and let's just insert some parameter data. So my salinity, let's say that it is currently 1.029. My nitrites are at 0.05. 0.6, so to speak. My pH, I can do 7.4. If you ever need help with these particular parameters, you can click the show help link, and it will show you some details on what the parameters should be for a tank of this type. Let's say that my alkalinity is currently 150, and my calcium is currently, let's say, 600 parts per million, and my magnesium as well is 600 parts per million, and let's say that my phosphate is 0.03, right? So now I can add some notes. Let's say this is a test, but you can add anything here. This is free text that you want to log in regards to this data collection point. And I'll click save. I'll tap that with my finger, and immediately it lets me know of some things to look out for. It captures whatever I put in as the parameter data, and it compares it against some known standards on those particular data points. So I instantly get notification that the pH is a little bit low, the alkalinity, the calcium, the magnesium, all those things are a little bit out of whack. So I may want to adjust them at my next water change, or add some chemicals to the water to make sure that things are adjusted appropriately. But more importantly, you get that instant notification, and that's what we're after if you're a hobbyist and you want to keep track of the details in regards to your tank and your livestock and things of that nature. So I'm going to close out of here, and now we can also go back into that screen and we can go to view charts. Let's say, for example, I want to view charts. I can see a trend, and remember, since this is based off of a backbone of Windows and Office, it can slice and dice the data in all kinds of ways, and all this data is stored locally as well as being pushed out to a cloud storage device such as OneDrive or Dropbox. So you do have that flexibility to make sure that this is indeed portable and that you can have multiple users feeding data to the same source, and all viewable from within the pretty interface displayed on the Microsoft Surface Pro. So we can see that my trend of my salinity is pretty much stable. You can see that my nitrites are kind of all over the place. My pH is kind of all over the place, and my alkalinity is definitely kind of out of whack. But you get all that instantly right on the Microsoft Surface on a beautiful screen that's touch capable. I'm closing that screen now. And now let's say I want to do a water change, right? So now I want to select today's date and say I'm changing the water today, and I'm changing, let's say, 69 gallons of water. That's approximately 39% of the actual water in my tank. I'll click save, and that gets added to my tank's timeline. Water change added, and now we're brought back, and we can see here that my recent water changes, it gives you the percent down to a very large decimal point, but you can actually configure all that within the back end on how many decimal points and decimal places you want to go. And I currently have 2 water changes on file. If I go back to the main menu, we can see my complete timeline of all history regarding to my tank. You can see that right here. If I scroll up, it's all within there. You scroll up with the mouse. You can see everything that was added, when new fish were added, all my water changes, my warnings, everything that occurred to this tank via this app is now available on my tank's timeline. Now, if I wanted to push this data to another mobile device or a cloud storage solution, all I have to do is click on Sync to Cloud. And it lets me know that it's going to connect to Dropbox, and I send that data there, and it's done. So it sends the whole timeline data to Dropbox, as well as any images associated with my tank, any new fish or anything like that. Now, bundled with this particular app that's optimized for Surface Pro is the ability to use a companion web app that we also developed that syncs data to this application on your Surface Pro or Windows PC. It's actually very amazing. So we developed a little web app form that you can actually add to your mobile device's home screen, and I'm just going to go into it right in my browser. But this is what you'll be presented with if you navigate to this and add it to your home screen on your mobile device. You can add new fish, new invertebrates, new corals, new macros. You can actually do water chemistry. You can do changes. So let's say I wanted to add a new fish. I can click on Add New Fish, and I would be doing this from my mobile device. I put in my email address. Let's say I have, let's do this email address. Just a dummy account that I use to play with. And then I can add a new fish. Let's say I added 2 into new fish species. Okay, so let's say I added an eel. Let's say moray eel. And I added 2 of them. Yes, they are carnivores, so I'll leave that there. So imagine you're doing this through your mobile device on the fly. You just left the pet store. You instantly want to log this data because, we're kind of like that. If you're hobbyists in this industry, you want to be very data intensive. So let's say that these cost me $100. And at this point, I can upload an image, or I can just sync it and I'm done. So I sync that data now. So what's going to occur on the next refresh of the app, next time that I log in to the Windows app, I'm going to come here and it will automatically recognize that I added a new eel, and it will display it within the application itself. So now that I'm back at the home screen of the app, it automatically recognizes that an entry was made from a mobile device, and it adds it to the application itself. We can see here that it recognizes that a moray eel was added on the date, and it pulls that information from the information that you filled out on the custom web app that we have available via URL. So that sends an email, and that email is picked up by this application running on your Surface. So it knows that a new fish was added to the system, and it's going to add that data to the timeline. So I can close out of here. So now, if I look at my tank's timeline, I can see within the timeline itself that it says a moray eel was added on the date and time. So it is actually pulling the information from the cloud that we inserted via that custom web app. And this is amazing, that you can do this sorts of stuff all by, performing slight configuration changes and tweaking to Windows, Microsoft Office, a little bit of HTML5 coding, and having it all work together beautifully within a custom app that runs very seamlessly on the Microsoft Surface Pro. So now if I go to my tank, I'm just going to click on my tank. I can see that I now have the moray eel in my fish category, and I added 2 of them, and it picked that up because we did that from our mobile phone. If I click on that, I can actually, if you wanted to view a full gallery of all of the items associated with your tank, you can just click on view my gallery, and it will bring up a gallery where you can see all of the fish and their details. There's a fox face, there's a damsel, there's the clownfish, and then I also have the moray eel, which I didn't attach an image for, but I would update that later at my own whim. You know, it could be laying in the bed late at night and just paste in that URL, and I'll have the URL for the image of the moray eel. So it's very fun, very easy to use. If I ever wanted to see how much money I spent totally on my tank, because every single time that you insert a new item, you have to put a price associated with it, so it tallies that up. And I can see all of the money spent that I spent on the life of my tank. I spent $210 basically on fish in my tank. And that's a very valuable metric that you would want to have as well if you're very into keeping these types of creatures and being labor intensive with the data that you collect. So again, this is a custom app that's very, very fun to use, available from YeldellScientific.com. It runs beautifully on the Microsoft Surface Pro series of laptops, but it will work on any laptop, any PC, as long as it's running Windows and the most recent version of Microsoft Office 365, or you can just have the physical install of Office as well. But it's very fun to use, and feel free to download it at your own whim. Thanks a lot.